The Path of Kriya Yoga, Video 6. Other lineages within the Kriya Yoga tradition. Babaji initiated Lahiri Mahasaya into the Kriya Yoga tradition and authorized him to teach. Nowadays, there may be people who say that they have received initiation from Babaji. Now, I'm not in a position to say whether they did it or they didn't, and I'm going to have to leave it up to your own discernment and discretion to validate whether that's true or not. But I do know that Lahiri Mahasaya received initiation from Babaji, and this has been proven in the fact that his teachings have survived the ages and have been transported and shared with people all around the world. Now, Lahiri Mahasaya himself had many devotees. We talked about Sri Yukteswar, but he also had a vast amount of other disciples who he authorized to initiate. One of his main disciples, and the first disciple which he authorized to initiate, was Sri Panchalan Bhattacharya. Now, Paramahansa Yogananda makes reference to this sage within his writings, within the Autobiography of Yogi. And he talks about how he set up the Arya mission, which helped to publish a lot of the works, the books written by Sri Lahiri Mahasaya. Sri Panchalan Bhattacharya was considered to be a very, very advanced yogi. And him and others would have had devotees that they initiated into Kriya Yoga. And they, in turn, would have successors. And so the family tree of the Kriya Yoga tradition began to sprout. Then when we move to Sri Yukteswar, of course, we all know of Paramahansa Yogananda, but Sri Yukteswar had other disciples, devotees, brother disciples of Paramahansa Yogananda, who also went on to initiate and offer instruction within Kriya Yoga. One of those was Swami Satyanandagiri, and he was a childhood friend of Paramahansa Yogananda's. He later went on to study in the Calcutta University, and he collaborated with the grandson of Lahiri Mahasaya, who was also a practitioner of Kriya Yoga. You may also know of Swami Hariharananda, who set up the Kriya Yoga Institute in the USA, and which had centers within Europe too. So each one of these would have had their own initiates, their own devotees, who they would have authorized to share the teachings of Kriya Yoga. In terms of Hariharananda, he authorized Paramahansa Prajnanananda to continue as the spiritual leader of the Kriya Yoga Institute. And so we can see how the branches of the family of the Kriya Yoga tradition continue to extend outward. Paramahansa Yogananda himself then had direct disciples, some of which were swamis or monks who remained in SRF, within Self-Realization Fellowship. And they would have included Sri Dayamata, but they also included Saint Lin, who wasn't a swami, but who represented the organization for a couple of years before his own passing. Then I mentioned Roy, who was a direct disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda, but there were others who weren't part of the SRF organization who Paramahansa Yogananda had authorized to teach, such as Oliver Black and Donald Walters, Swami Kriyananda. So this just gives us an idea of the fact that there are so many people, practitioners, who have dedicated themselves to the practice of Kriya Yoga, and by doing so have received the authorization to go on and share the teachings of Kriya Yoga with others and initiate them into Kriya Yoga. Roy Eugene Davis, through the Center of Spiritual Awareness, authorized individuals to share the teachings of Kriya Yoga. Some of those are affiliated with CSA, the Center of Spiritual Awareness, and others are not. Roy authorized me to offer instruction in Kriya Yoga and to initiate others, as he had done in 2010.